That's like a big thing for me is like, you don't have to rely on a guy, by the way. Like you can do it. Just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't get it done. You know what I mean?
Well, when Danny married me, she wasn't relying on me to fix things. So I was like summer camp for a strong, independent woman. Yeah, do you have Monster sponsor?
No, they're going to have to pay. They're going to have to pay.
Blur them. Just blur everyone.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Tactical Baby Gear Podcast. I've got these couple of characters here on the show with me today. Mr. Dave and Mike from the No Snooze Podcast. What's up, fellas?
What's up, my man?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, yeah, you got it. This is going to get interesting, you guys. I'll just go ahead and tell you ahead of time. We've already done one podcast, their podcast, and then we ate lunch. We've had a few drinks, and now here we are. So there's no telling.
I'm
telling where this is.
I mean, if you're on YouTube, you can check out the lineup here. I got the Red Bull with the twisted tea with the hydration for Crystal Geyser. Shout out to you guys.
Crystal Geyser. That's the first time someone shouted out Crystal Geyser.
Yeah. Oh, they might have to pay too.
We'll blur.
I got a dad joke for you. Ready?
All right, come on.
These guys are both dads, and your kids are just over a year old now.
Yep.
But within 2 weeks of each other.
Correct.
Right?
And you met them at lunch.
I did.
And
they're cute.
Callie was well behaved.
Yeah.
Livy, not so much.
I don't know. He saw Callie throwing a pizza and stuff. So.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. And eating crayons.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yeah. Your
and
daughter
paper.
ate a crayon and ate paper.
And paper.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you even fed her.
No.
She's just like crayons and paper. And like, I'm like, man. No, I'm just kidding. That's something my kids would do too. And they're like 10.
You're still eating crayons.
Lately, people have been making apocalypse jokes. God, I'm really butchering this.
Must have been the booze.
People have been making apocalypse jokes like there's no tomorrow.
Ooh. So that's one of those jokes you just say and then you let it linger.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. Just let it stay.
No punchline. It is the punchline.
Right into the camera. I like that.
Yeah. I feel like we should do one more. You guys want to pick a date? This is a calendar.
Oh, that's cool.
What's your birthday, David?
October 26th.
Do October 27th.
All right, let's pick one. I'm close.
It's very specific. Dave.
Yeah, right.
I hope it's terrible.
So 27th?
Yep.
The day after?
That's great.
after,
That's
right?
a great gift. Do you guys sell those on the website?
No. My mom got me this
What are
because
we
she
doing?
listens to the podcast and she was like, ooh, dad jokes? He needs those.
Those are good.
I got you.
So I'm always searching for one. All right, 27th. Whoops. What did the ghost say when he introduced his significant other to his parents?
I swear she's real.
This is my boo.
Oh.
Coming in.
T-Dog with the win.
You got a nice
good,
voice.
Trav.
I haven't heard it through the microphone
I like
yet.
that.
Dang, one of these days I'm going to get this
Right into the camera?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Anyways, all right, what's up, guys?
Yeah, man.
Give us a quick background on the No Snooze podcast. Give me because I'm not really familiar, like I'm kind of a bad guy and I haven't really listened. So.
No offense taken.
It's all about drugs, alcohol, and not having children,
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you. No, so to start that off, no snooze is a very literal sense, not only in parenting, but in life. So when you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that most people see is that alarm goes off and you have two options, according to, how we believe it to be. And you can hit that snooze button, go back to sleep on your dreams and aspirations, or you can get up, get after it, and attack things. It's never been more true in business. We always kind of knew that. We were always go-getters trying to figure things out. The podcast was just one of those things that we had an idea. The three of us, CV, Claudio does our audio visual, Mike and myself, we came together and we kind of got that off the ground. But then once Mike and I had the babies, the No Snooze became a very literal sense.
We jinxed it.
No snooze.
No sleep.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, people get it, mixed up with not sleeping. That happens to be a side effect of parenting.
Yeah.
But the real story behind it is to, anything you put your foot into in life, you should always put that foot forward. And as long as you're progressing, no matter how hard things get, you'll always be all right.
Yeah, and the logo that we came up with, and this was the original, was an hourglass. And we've talked about it on the last podcast. We're obsessed with time now. It's all about time management. It's all about gaining back more time. Money is not a currency. Time is your ultimate, value and the currency, right?
We just talked about it right before we went live, and I was talking about how I want to be doing everything because that's how I'm wired.
Yep.
But now I have to be very selective in how I spend my time doing whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be very selective about it because my time is so limited now with business to run and a family and 3 kids, a newborn, all these things. It's like
Yep.
Time is the currency.
Yeah.
If you want to do something that takes someone's time, it's going to cost you money. Really.
Right. And it's got to be worth it. You know, we're at the point now to where obviously our podcast has grown, but professionally as well. Mike is in real estate. I'm sure he'll tell you about that. But I work local government. I'm a deputy commissioner in a local town in Westchester County over in New York. So I have a full-time job, a pretty public job too, out in the open. But then I also am a husband and then a father. And we also have No Snooze, which really has taken off to a, we've been in business, right, Mike?
Been in business
for business. Yeah. For
you used to call it a side hustle all the time. I used to get so mad.
Well,
we're not a side hustle.
Well, because you have your full-time job, and then you also have a side hustle like yourself that you were building until that becomes something that you explode in. So we didn't, I guess, from the beginning, we didn't have a model to sell. Merchandise and stuff like that, but the logo itself. I mean, if you're on YouTube, but I mean, you see it right here. Beav is a not only the hourglass, but sleep is a Z. Right.
Oh, yeah, so I forgot about that part.
But it's very literal. It's a Z with a line through it, and that is more in a sense of not sleeping on your life. You only have one time through. Right. You have one shot. You got one opportunity.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying.
Yep.
It's like one shot, one opportunity. You got like one life, right?
Yep.
I think you have more than one opportunity.
Correct.
Yes.
One opportunity at life.
Right.
Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I was going to say, because I was thinking back through my story. It's like, well, I've had to start over like 3 times.
Yeah. Well, if you look at Mike and I both, I mean, we've had other things that have just flopped. Yeah. I started a beard oil company. I mean, my beard happens to be great, but my beard oil company, not so much. Right. I started a hat company. That was trash. Yeah. So I did a lot of things on the side that, we're trying to work all while I was working full time, but I was trying to figure things out. And finally, I'd say over the past, year and a half, 2 years, I really figured out, okay, what I want to do, where I want to go with my life. And now we're on that track.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You get like the pillars. I talk about the pillars. So I have a real estate pillar, No Snooze Podcast pillar. And then we'll throw in I have Greenwich Clothing Company, which is just like a spinoff of my real estate stuff. So like these pillars all complement each other. Yeah. And then if you're doing well in one of the pillars, like the podcast, it in turn benefits the real estate, the other stuff. So as long as everything meshes together and it's in line, that's been my filter. And I said I can have a max of 3 big businesses, and that's it. I maxed myself at 3.
I should probably find a limit for myself.
Yeah, you like that?
I'm always trying to.
But you're at a different level with the business where you have the team built. Like we're still, everything is happening at the same time. At least for me, like the real estate stuff, like all that is being built now.
Yeah. And I had the same thing. I was doing several different things that were all sort of paralleled each other. Yes. And then one of them just happened to take off. And I was like, all right, screw this other stuff.
Yep.
I mean, and that happens to be the case with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know that's a pretty similar story to even Gymshark. I'm sure you're familiar with Gymshark.
That's a wild story.
It is a wild story, but he was doing a bunch of different things at one time, and like Gymshark happened to pop, and he just ran with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think it happens more often than people realize. You got just a bunch of side hustles, and one gets traction.
Yep.
And that's the reality of it. Like not everything you do, even if you're somebody who's willing to just work in themselves into the ground, like some things just aren't going to work.
Right.
Yeah. And you have to be willing to recognize that and like let go of it at some point.
Yep. No, that's a good point.
It'll drag you down.
Yeah. Good point with working yourself into the ground, because that was something that I think I was doing to myself without even realizing it. But then with the whole, no snooze mindset, I'm big on habits. I'm big on routine. And it's obviously never been more true again with parenting, because routine for me was really something that guided my whole life. And as soon as my daughter was born, no 2 days are the same.
So
I can think that I'm going to wake up at this time and go work out at this time and
be to this thing at this time.
Yeah, have some free time here and there. And she just throws that all off. So that's been the biggest lesson for me is trying. I still haven't found control of it because I'm still so.
You'll never get it.
Yeah, but I think
but
it's almost like a high, because you try to chase I want to get everything under control, and you never can. So it's a constant challenge. I view it as a challenge, and I like those types of challenges. I mean, obviously, I get frustrated in the moment when stuff is going south. But we call it what do you say? Scrambles?
Scrambling. Yeah, right. I scramble a lot.
He scrambles and I go in shambles. Yeah. So with shamble mix, you know what I mean?
But the reason too is like with the real estate stuff, every day is just another day. There's no Monday, there's no Friday, there's no Sunday. Yeah. So
those days are irrelevant.
When the baby came into play, I was used to it, but I didn't think it would take up that much time. And then I realized how much time I was wasting, where I thought I was being efficient, But in reality, like I could have got this stuff done a lot faster. I just happened to be able to sit on the couch and work on something at night.
You know, it's really funny between the you two. I've guessed it would be like totally opposite from that.
Yeah.
That like you'd be the super structured, super scheduled, super like by the book, and you would be a little bit more like me. That's just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah. Why?
Why
I don't know.
Yeah, that was just the initial vibe.
Yeah.
No, it's completely opposite. I'm the one that's very regimented. Like I need routine in my life. I need structure. I just kind of grew up that way. So that even from my parents.
Now hold on.
Yep.
You need the regiment and you need structure, or you're a control freak.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm definitely a control freak. I would say to a sense, but I also need structure for myself because I have a problem now, especially at the age. I mean, I'm 31, but my mind is always racing, and if I can't control those thoughts, I'm actually sitting and doing nothing. So if I plan out my day and I plan out my week and I plan out my month. Before I used to plan out my months, right? Now with parenting, I'm telling you, the day-to-day process, it's the most beautiful thing in the world, though. It's only about getting through that day. Yeah. So like I'll plan out one meal and I'll plan out the next one and just the next one. I can't even look at tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tough.
But that's
like,
why I need it.
Down to the all right, it's Tuesday. Like I need
Survive
to do the
the
dishes today.
Right.
That's my goal for the day. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
I have kind of like a fluid structure. So like I know, for example, I'm organized with my calendar. Like I know if it's blue, it's not confirmed yet. Green is confirmed. Green means you're making money. Like green's good. Get more green on the schedule. And then like purple is personal. So I put all my appointment, like lunch with Dana, like in my calendar. Like certain things I'm anal about. But then other things like I could care less. Like if the laundry doesn't get done, there's crap. I just like walk into the chaos, put a suit on, walk out, and I'll be fine. Whereas like it's weird. Certain things.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of my life I'm most comfortable in chaos. Like I enjoy the chaos.
Do you create it?
Do I create the chaos, Jade, Travis?
They're smiling.
Probably most of it.
Yeah. Sometimes. Yeah, you definitely you don't try to not create it.
I like it.
So you embrace it.
But like I know there's certain things that I need structured to be efficient.
Right.
Which is why Jade's here. But otherwise, like I am just like kind of I wouldn't even say it's chaos. It's just like everything's very fluid.
Curveballs.
And I could take, this is what we're going towards, and like change my mind last second and be like, no, that's out the window. We're doing this now. Damn it, I need that.
But that's a
that
positive. Like changing your mind on things is something that I was stubborn about in the past. But now I'm really like, don't care, where like certain things we decide and I'm like, that was wrong. I'm wrong. Like we should do the opposite.
And it's important to recognize that. Like if I don't think this is the way to go anymore, I'll change it. And like everyone's like, I just spent 2 days working on it. I'm like, we're not. Nope. New idea.
Yep.
Or which isn't very often these days.
Yeah.
But I have no problem just like crushing an idea and be like, nope.
That's a skill, though. That's
good.
That's definitely a skill because you know in your heart that in the long run that's going to be the better move.
Yeah.
So you're not wasting all that time.
And there's plenty of times where I think that I've made a right decision and it's turned out to be the wrong one. I've put a lot of energy and thought and time and resource, whatever, into it, and it's like, well, that was the wrong call.
Yeah.
But it's fine. You just learn from it and move on to the next thing, and it is what it is. But yeah, the chaos is, I don't know. There's certain, but I'm a organizational freak. Like unless I'm like in the moment working on some project, like shit around me is just a mess. But like after that, like everything has its place, and I like. There's a lot of stuff right now. If I walk around out in the warehouse, where it's like this, I like start to freak out a little bit. But I know that like I'm like in the middle of a thing, and it's all got to come right back out anyway. So I just leave it alone and don't stress over it too much. But
yeah, I like the big visuals of things too, because like during the day, during the chaos, during days where you're getting beat up, as long as you're moving towards the big thing, whatever that is. Like for me, it's the visual of like having the properties, having the podcast studio, hopping from one to the other, stopping and having lunch with the girls, and then popping. Like I visualize the lifestyle. And if what I'm doing every day gets me towards that lifestyle, even if the day kicked my ass, I'm still like somewhat positive because I'm like, as much as this sucked this day, I lost 3 deals. My recording on the podcast, I asked Beav twice why they named him Beav. I still am like positive because I'm like, all right, well, I'm getting towards it. It didn't work well. I might have looked like I went backwards, but I'm getting closer. You know what I'm saying?
I get that. The other thing you said also was having so many things going on that you you don't get anywhere. I do that all the time and that's where like earlier on your podcast, we were talking about lists and how important that was to me these days and trying to stay on task because of the chaos I create and all the like different moving parts and different projects I'm working on or consulting with this guy and helping him with that. And it's like, okay, I got so many things I need to do on this Tuesday morning or whatever day it is. And then like, where do I start? So it's like those lists help. And it can be sort of paralyzing to like have that much going on. And you have to be able to like figure out how to deal with that.
Do you have times where you sit down with like Jade and you like recalibrate and you're like, this month was just sideways. Like I was all over the place. Or no?
Sometimes we've been like, I don't know. I mean, everything's just kind of crazy all the time, to be honest with you. It seems like it, you know, and there's times where it's like, we crushed this or like, this was okay, but I don't know that we could have done any better with whatever this campaign was or whatever we were trying to accomplish. Like, let's look at the circumstances of the world right now. Everything's on fire and burning down. Like, how much better could we have done? Like, we didn't lose. So I call it a win, you know?
Yeah. Something we always discuss too is, you know, we used to believe that it was a busy season or it was a busy month. And yes, that happens. But the truth is, the more successful you are, the more busy you are in life, right? Like it never stops. It never settles down. So now it's about like finding ways and tactics, I guess, that work, you know, towards the efficiency. Like for me at work, the first thing that I do when I get to work is I have a list, right? I'm old school. I have to write it down. I like to see it because at the end of the day, I throw it away. And if there's anything on that list of 5 that I didn't accomplish, I carry it over. And that's the first 2 things that I do. Always start with obviously the most important thing that's going to take me the most time. But as long as I get through like 1, 2, and 3 for the day, I at least feel accomplished. Same thing with me working out in the morning. You know, a big part of No Snooze is obviously waking up early, but working out, because working out allows me gives me that freedom. When in parenting and life the way that it is, you know, if you don't take any time for yourself, you're kind of screwed because you'll end up burning yourself out. So working out for me is just a habit that I've created over the past 10 years to where it provides me a sense of relief, gives me an outlet, gives me a stress relief.
That's like your selfish time.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes that gets screwed up too, you know? When the baby wakes up.
I've had
I'm working out today.
You know, exactly.
But being in the podcast, I enjoy it because he has the personal, you know, workout in the morning. That's something that fell to the wayside for me. And to get myself motivated, it's not the same anymore. It's not being in college and being like, oh, I'm single. I need to look decent so I can try to attract someone that is dumb enough to maybe date me. You know, that type of thing. So now it turned into like, well, I have a brand to uphold. Like if I'm going to be pushing this brand, that fitness is a portion of it, which I mean, clearly haven't been doing a great job. But it's stuff like that has been fun to incorporate it into like a bigger purpose so that we can do things that work towards that, like that weight loss challenge. We did a 10% body fat challenge. I had no idea what 10% looked like. And I was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. I don't even know what I was.
I got this.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was good. It forced me to do things that maybe weren't healthy, but like I tried a bunch of stuff. Some stuff worked. Of course, Dave got down to like 8%. What'd you start at?
Loser.
No, I started at 13, almost 14%.
Which is difficult. So that last 4 is like tough. Like, and he got 6 off of like percentage wise. It's tough. Jade probably knows. She's the only one here that's like, you know,
she lives at like a 4%.
Yeah. But
that's her. She feels fat at 4% body fat.
That's after lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I weigh in and I'm like 23. So in my head, I like these like crazy things because I'm like, all right, if I just do normal stuff, it'll work, but it's not going to get me there. Right. So what can I do? I'm an extremist like you are. So I was like, what can I do? So I like tried 1 meal a day. I tried like intermittent fasting for like 2 days straight. I did a bunch of stuff and some of it worked, but Dave kept telling me, he's like, just do the same thing every day and do, you know?
Yeah. But consistency is king in anything in life, right?
But it's all different because you can weigh yourself once a week. I had to weigh myself in every day, else I would go astray.
Well, you didn't have to.
I did. I had to, else I was like now
otherwise,
I weigh once a month.
That was like the thing that set you straight every day.
Because you can't lie. It's like
the accountability for you.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, but that's the thing. I think
it's fun.
No Snooze for us too is also about accountability, right? To its highest extent. And now, what better way to try to get in the best shape of my life during the craziest year of my life? Yeah. You know, so it was just an added challenge. And
you got that right.
Right? It was just an added challenge that I was like, wow, you know what? Instead of, you know, complaining about the situation, let me embrace the suck, as you would say, right?
Yeah.
And just take it head on and, you know, one day at a time is the motto. And that's what it is.
But I like trying to figure out I like puzzles, right? Like jigsaw puzzles, love them.
I hate puzzles.
So I like trying to. So my thought is if I can figure out how to have a food show. So I have a food show called Tell Mike Saying to help promote.
How much
for real
different
estate.
shit you got going on?
Exactly.
Man,
So-
you and I are more alike than I thought.
It's scary, isn't it? We look the same. But my thing is, like, people think that you can't have like a food show like Diners, Drives, and Dives and also get in good shape. And I was able to do it for a month because that was my cheat day. So I like trying to figure out how to put things in different slots and then it all works. The problem is I had it all good and then I changed everything. We bought a house. You know, we go into this house that has no AC. We blew out the electrical the first day. So like I create the chaos, but it's progress. But then my whole personal stuff falls to the wayside and I gain 25 pounds.
Yeah.
He's quick 25.
But it's ebbs and flows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was listening to like Simon Sinek or something recently. You guys watch him? He's so smart, man. His level of like depth of thinking, like really just
Doesn't
on
make you
another
feel
level.
like so stupid. Sometimes I listen to podcasts, I'm like, wow, I'm so stupid.
Yeah, he's smart. But he talks about the work-life balance, you know, and everybody wants to know how, it's like you have to like add to one thing to take away from the other, and it's never a balance. Like it's just like a
Bandwidth.
constant like
Juggling.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, he obviously explains it way more eloquently than I did.
No, I get what you're saying.
That was good. I got it.
That was good. Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same thing. You said something about creating
Chaos.
but problem solving is one of the things that comes up in my life a lot, even though I have like my to-do list of like, these are my high priority things I have to get done. The problem is when I sit at the top of the food chain, you know, like shit rolls uphill and then I end up just like a firefighter. Like I got to solve these problems and put
Mike is a fireman too.
I said that on an episode. They killed me.
No,
they're
his
like,
wife.
"Oh, you're a firefighter," and I was like, "It's a metaphor."
He was like, I'm constantly putting out fires, and she was like, "Oh, Mike, you're a fireman now."
Yeah.
It was
But I say the same term because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Jay, don't you like firefighters?
Whoa!
Oh wow!
I just said that for you, Chad. I hope you're listening.
Sorry, Chad. So watch this transition. So to that point, though, that's where I find difficulty because I'll have a list and then other things, deals that are going haywire, take priority. And it's only me. It's a one-man shop for that stuff. So like when people call me, it's like, all right, well, this deal's going to fall through. Everything else gets put to the side. So it's like figuring out.
In my life, it's like something always comes up that's just more important. And it's like, it's just how it is. It's like this was the thing I was trying to get done and was trying to accomplish, but then something else became more important. Now this is down here. And then let me try to get back to this. And then something else pops up that's more important than that. And all of a sudden this thing that was so important never gets done. Right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, God.
And then your kids aren't going to school. They're going to
And then they're sitting there eating crayons and paper, B.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Jeez.
It is a fun challenge, though. Like you don't realize how much time you have every year, and then I feel like every year they say, "All right, well, here we're going to add some other commitments, and then we're going to take away an hour."
Yeah,
feels like that every year.
Yeah, I mean, the years they do continue to just go by faster and faster, and it is very challenging because I feel in my personal life, at least, I don't know about you guys, but it's like my goals and ambitions continue to get higher and higher because like. If you would have asked my 30-year-old self or my 25-year-old self, like what I wanted to do, like I crossed that finish line a long time ago, but it still wasn't enough. And it's like more. And I don't know where that finish line is or what that goal is or really, you know, it's like when is enough where I feel like I don't have to be doing 700 different things all the time. Like when am I going to be happy? And I feel bad because even my wife is like, has in the past been not even that she's asked. I've always told her, like, well, if we just get to this level, like, we'll be good.
Yep.
You know, like,
and then
and you get there,
in you, and
you get there, and you're like, yep. There's a new point now that we're trying to achieve. I don't know what it is, but when we get there, it won't be what I want anyway. So
I can relate to that so much. I know Claudio sitting over there. I'm blocked by the light, but him and I have this same conversation. And he always asks, like, dude, you just keep chasing it. When is enough enough? When is enough enough? Like the job that I was chasing was a national search for this deputy commissioner job. And, you know, there were a bunch of candidates that were obviously in front of me.
Weird, they didn't call me.
There were a bunch of candidates that were there. And all I kept saying is like, all right, once I get that, I know that's going to be a level that will sustain me for a while. I haven't even been in that role for a month, and I'm already seeking, you know, in my head, the next opportunity.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's good though.
Yeah, no, I think it is
as
good.
a deputy commissioner.
He has a flat brim hat and a star on it. And you ever see who's that guy who kicks indoors? Chuck Norris. He's Chuck Norris.
I've seen that. So
That's
I'm not a
what
movie
I
guy.
thought when you said that.
I'm not a movie guy, so whenever they make movie references and stuff, I have no idea what
It's a TV show, Texas Walker Ranger, right?
Right.
Yes, it is.
My grandma loves
No,
that
so it's
show.
actually the complete opposite of that. So like I told you on the on our podcast, so I oversee the Department of Community Resources. So I oversee a town budget. I take the money and fund the initiatives that I believe, to benefit the town residents. So whether that's extracurriculars for kids, whether that's senior programming. So it actually has nothing to do
with
kicking doors in and wearing flat brim hats. You know,
You're not that cool.
no.
No, you're one of the more important guys in the community.
Well,
Period.
absolutely.
I say to them all the time, that's, I think, more important than on a national level. I mean, national level's important. But when you're in the community and like your effects are seen.
Direct.
Yeah.
You can
that's
see that
important.
the money you put into impacted
Yes.
this directly.
Yes. And I have
probably awesome.
I think I have the best job in the world just because I truly, I don't feel like it sounds cliche, but I don't go to work like, damn, I have to go to work. I literally like get into my office. First of all, I love the space that I'm in. I love the people that I work with. I love the team that's in place. And I trust everybody that I'm with. We've been together for a while now. So it's the best environment in the world. And I also now having a child, it's funny because I see the impacts that we have as a department on the youth. Now I'm like, wow, that's so important for me and my daughter to obviously get involved in the local community and doing things to obviously benefit others. My job is the line of work is public service, right? I never knew that I would be committed to a life of public service for the rest of my life. I wouldn't want to do anything else. Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, yeah, it's good salary. There's great benefits, sets my family up for things, but it also allows me an opportunity to travel, invest in real estate, do the different things that I do. But yeah, I feel like honestly, I couldn't have gotten luckier with the opportunities.
Well, he works very hard, but he's in politics, and I stay so far out of politics.
Yeah.
Anytime
But you
he
really
mentions
don't,
something,
though,
I'm
because
like,
you're very public. He's a very public guy. You put everything out there so people see it, whether, and
Him, you
Mike,
mean? Just because of real estate?
Well, not only real estate, but even with the food show, the podcast, and in his line of work where he will end up doing a lot of work with the town and his local community. You know what I mean? Like he's helped so many businesses.
I hate
through
red
COVID.
tape. So like,
What? No, it's true though.
like whenever the town gets involved, and I love the town of Greenwich, they've been great to me. But like whenever the town gets involved and things slow down, it drives me nuts. Because I'm like, let's just get it done, because then you got to move to the next project.
Yeah.
But once it gets too overblown with like, no offense to the towns, because
Well, government itself is archaic.
It's difficult.
It's just
Yeah.
archaic. But that's why I love it, because the
Yeah.
town that I'm in, I'm able to advance us.
Yeah, you're in a different.
You know what I'm saying? Like I see the procedures that are going on. I'm like, why are we still doing things this way? Let's make this electronic. Let's move this faster. Let's do this. Let's, you come up with different and creative
You
ideas and
consult
initiatives.
with like the DMV or anything?
No, so the DMV I have nothing to do with. You know what I mean? I know.
He has like his not history. He has experience like with management, and I just recently like put some people on my team for real estate stuff, and like not major things, but I've been the younger brother my whole life. So like I say it all the time. Like I don't know, like the kid's the first thing that I'm actually like mentoring. Like I was always the one asking questions and just run around with the chicken, like a chicken with my head cut off, and I still do that. So like now, as I'm starting to build out, if you have this option to like build out like colleagues and teams that you have to be in charge of and manage, I realize like I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
It's tough, man.
Because I'm too all over the place, and then to tell people where I'm headed, it's just too much. Versus like if I have partners, I could say, all right, well, you're in charge of X, I'll take care of Y, and we'll make Z. I like that style, and that's why like No Snooze is great, because we all do our things, but we're not like managing each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we're more partners than anything. But
Yeah.
Going back to the initial point of never enough is enough. Like I remember the first, it was a very significant time, and it was a great thing. 2 years ago when I was 29, I got a top 30 under 30 business professionals in the area, right? And it was great, and we celebrated, had a little dinner. The first thought that I had, no joke, was it means nothing if I don't get a top 40 under 40.
Do they have that?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, they do.
They do. But to me, that was my like initial thought. And my wife got mad. She's like, all right, now you're being selfish. I'm like, well, I'm not putting it on anybody else. I'm
disagree
just
with that.
challenging myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I remember that vividly, and her saying like, dude, relax, like enjoy the moment. And yes, that's something that I do need to do a little bit more when you do win. I think people in general in life, when you do win a little bit, there is a time to celebrate it.
I mean, it looks like you're celebrating with those cigars.
Hey, look at me. Look at my beverage lineup. Dude. Crack this twisted tea wide open.
That's a conversation we had, was like, we're enjoying building No Snooze. Like, we need to incorporate a little more fun, because you know when it feels too businessy
Every day.
you know, and you're like, let's break it up. Let's go out to lunch. Let's have a couple beverages. You need that incorporated, because you're never going to get to the finish line. So while you run the race, you got to grab a couple beverages.
Yeah. I mean, the business side of it is like, just for me, it's like a necessary evil, like to operate a business as big as it is. Like there has to be the business side of it. That's like that stuff to me is not fun at all. I'm just out living my life to like have fun. Whatever I can do that like gives me the opportunity to have fun,
you're in.
I'm in. See, I like you know I mean? Business is fun for me.
It is, but it's like what aspects of the business? Like
that's true. It's a good point.
There's a lot of aspects of it that are not fun. Yes. To me, are not fun.
Yep.
My business partner, he fucking nerds out over spreadsheets and all that.
That's why you work.
Yeah, it's why we work, right? So
exactly,
like I don't care about that stuff, and he does. He's like, oh, spreadsheet, you know. And I'm like, no, let's go make a video. You know,
I think I like the progress
of the business side.
Just I like seeing progress, whatever it is,
because it's tangible.
Got it. Yeah.
And then if you're not progressing, the skill is, oh wow, okay, this is not working. Let me change up my systems and let me build my systems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Totally. But that's a constant challenge. I wanted to touch on, because I'm sure your listeners are parents, right? There's a lot of parents that are listening. I cannot believe. I always, I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, and it's I'd say it's a diverse area now, maybe, but predominantly African American, right? And there was a lot of poverty-stricken homes, and a lot of people, friends of mine, best friends of mine, that came from single mother households. I'm a father now, married to my wife, who happens to be my partner, right? Who I wouldn't be able to do anything when it comes to parenting. So I just want to say, right, like shout out to the single parents out there, because anytime, it's been a constant thought for me when things are going south in terms of parenting. And like last night, Mike and I had to watch the babies for like an hour and a half in my head, but he was in his
spiraled out of control.
Right. Oh, but yes, he was in his room. I was in my room. My daughter was going absolutely nuts. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is terrible. My wife better get back here quick. And then that thought popped up. Okay. A lot of people that are from single family households, and it's just a crazy thing to think about. And it puts me in perspective, right? So my point there is like a perspective for me has helped so much in terms of parenting.
The quick story behind that, I have to jump in because it's too funny. The visuals burned in my head.
Oh God.
Livy is running. So we're in separate rooms, right? Livy's my daughter. They go out to get some beverages and things. So I let Livy basically run around until she gets tired, and then I hope that she like chills and watches like maybe HGTV, because I love it. See, I'm handy.
He watches real estate food shows.
All I do is watch real estate and food. That's it. That's the only thing on my TV. Or Crisley Knows Best, hilarious show. So anyway, slams her finger, starts crying like crazy, relaxes, sits down. We're watching this TV show. Maybe like an hour goes by. I'm like fading in and out of falling asleep. The baby's like glossy eyed. I look left and I'm like, is that Dave? Dave's in the window waving. He's got a
wife
beater on, and the baby in a stroller, and the baby's hair's everywhere, and she's like crying, and he's like, "She won't stop crying." So I'm dying laughing. I'm like, "Come in." So he comes in the room, and the babies are going nuts because they're together now. The girls walk in, and they're like, "You guys couldn't handle it for an hour and a half," and I was like, "I was doing good." He screwed it up.
But those times where like you just can't figure out what it is the baby wants. I mean, she's tired, but she won't go down. She's changed. Every night, She's clean. Like maybe she's eating crayons in the corner. I don't know. And I keep making that reference because at lunch, Callie was crushing crayons. But I don't know, man. So that my point there though is like it's just incredible when you think you have it tough. Think back on other situations, and the perspective is big when it comes to parenting. Gets me through at least.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of aspects of that too, where we encourage so many dads, to try to get dads more involved, because a lot of dads aren't, whether they're just like deadbeat dads and they don't want anything to do with their kids, or
I got a lot to say about that, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, and then you got, single moms out there trying to raise a kid because the dad doesn't want anything to do with it. And then it just creates a toxic, bad environment where mom's working 2 full-time jobs trying to make ends meet. So this kid has no, father figure or anyone or even a mother hardly to like show them the way and teach them what's right and wrong and respect and all these things, and it spirals out of control. You end up with a bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
But what's your thought? I mean, you see a lot of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I see it. I mean, obviously in my professional world, but even my situation is a very, it's not the typical situation. I had great parents growing up, and they're still with us today, thank God. So everything is all good there. But mom was addicted to drugs and alcohol for the first 28 years of my life. So I lived with my dad from a very early age. Mom was always in the picture, but obviously she was, battling what she battled. But even now, like people will say to me, "Wow, you're such a good dad. You're so involved."
I've never heard that from me.
No, but like I genuinely enjoy it. But my point is like, dude, that my daughter didn't choose to come into this life, right? So it's really shitty for me. Can we curse in this podcast?
Yeah. It's too late now, Dave. We've been swearing all day.
We got Travi in the back. He can chop it up.
Travi threw a Y on there. Nice. Sound like a rapper. Travi.
But where was I at? What I just said?
You were giving the background story. The baby.
No. But
she didn't get
a choice.
Oh, yeah. So she didn't get to choose that. So, like, I'm not being a good dad. I'm just fulfilling my obligation.
Yeah.
Something that I have to do, right? And why would I just go through the motions? I want a connection with my daughter growing up. I want my daughter to, when I walk in a room, I want her eyes to light up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't want to just be one of these guys that, oh yeah, that's my dad over there. Like everything that my daughter goes through, I want to give her the male perspective because I have a very different perspective, right? Like I was cleaning dishes when I was extremely young because dad wasn't doing that. I was making my bed because dad obviously wasn't going to do that. Dad was out working when I had to obviously learn how to cook for myself. And sometimes it was peanut butter and jellies at 11 o'clock at night.
Peanut butter and jellies. That's what he calls them.
Yeah, peanut butter and jellies. And it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I get frustrated at that conversation because there's people that are like, oh yeah, well, I was such a good dad today. Really?
You find, either one of you or both of you, find it, I feel like it's a different level of responsibility to raise a girl versus a boy, that you have more responsibility because there's more things to teach her, or there's what's the word I'm looking for? Trying to show them what a good guy looks like, what a good man is, right? That's like,
it's a good point.
Yeah. Well, the like easiest way though, for me, every day I think about that. I'm like, me teaching is great. Obviously you can talk about lessons, but what easier way to do it than to treat her mother right?
Right. With
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I'm fortunate enough to have a partner. So anything that I do with my partner is obviously a reflection of how my daughter is going to perceive that. But I also, it's funny. A lot of people say like every man wants a boy, right? Deep down, I wanted a girl.
Really?
I really did. I swear to God. And I could care less if I have 2 girls, 3 girls, 4 girls, 5 girls. I don't know what it is. I love being a male figure.
I think it's because you like women's clothing.
Yeah, so if you're not on YouTube, I'm in these.
You wanted to be a princess deep down.
Yeah, right.
He's got good opinions.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I definitely know it stemmed from my sister. My sister's 7 years younger than me, so there was times that my dad would be working, mom, they just weren't around for whatever reason. But my sister would get out of the shower, and I'd have to comb her hair for her. I'd have to teach her those types of things, and we established that connection very early, and I loved that. Mm-hmm. Like I really love that. I still look at my sister like she's my daughter, even though she's grown.
He's tough, with the questions like who you dating. He grills.
But I keep it real too, right? Like I don't want to know who you're dating and then them be scared of me. But I also want to tell you the perspective of what I know. I've done. Right. So if I could give you a perspective on what it is that I did, okay, maybe you could be on the lookout for this. Not that every guy is trash. That's definitely not the case. Right. But the lessons that I could teach my daughter, and girls itself, I think are a little different than guys. But clearly, when it comes to getting your period, all that type of stuff, you got to go to mom because I don't really know.
I got nothing. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't know. Happy to learn about it. I'm happy to get involved and help you however I can. But when it comes to life lessons, I'm all about teaching the girl stuff.
I'm just trying to figure it out as I go. I didn't really think of it much. I know Dave was excited about the girl thing. I know I was shocked and not.
You're like, oh God.
I didn't have a preference. I'll be honest. I didn't really have a preference. I just knew if I had a girl, I'd be more nervous because I didn't have sisters. It's me, my dad. I mean, my mom's tough. It's not like she's a girly girl. I mean, she gets dressed up, but she's tough. She knows sports, jets, loves it. So the feminine, like Dana asked me about, or my wife asked me about like opinions on her outfits, and I have no idea. I'm like, is
My
that
wife
a different
asked me,
shoe?
what
He's
do I
got
say?
like notes. He's like, hey babe,
I'm
go
like,
check
babe,
that out.
try that shoe, get that one. Nope,
Yeah.
nope, turn around, let me see the back. Oh, okay, that's good.
And I'm kind of like a go with the flow with big life things. Like, you know, when we moved in together, Dana was like, you realize this could be the last time like we move in with someone new? Like, I was like, no, yeah, whatever, just move in. Like, I don't overthink things. So when we got engaged, like I was pumped. When she got pregnant, pumped, but I wasn't like, whoa, you know?
Yeah.
So like when the girl happened, it was a whoa moment of nervousness. But then I was like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, which I kind of still am like.
That's how I was. I think was a little bit of like, oh shit, I don't know anything about girls.
Did you have sisters?
yeah.
Or no,
No,
just
no, I
the
got
three
2
boys.
brothers,
Right.
and like I didn't have.
Are we
girls.
twins?
Yeah, maybe, maybe. And I was like, I don't know how girls work, like
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
you know. But now it's like I would only want girls. Like I have 3 girls now, and on the third one, I was like, please be a boy, please be a boy. But then I was almost relieved when we found out it was a girl again. I was like, sweet, I already know how this.
You know how
works.
this goes.
I know
Right.
how this goes. There's not trying to learn anything new.
Yep.
But I get a lot of like pride out of knowing that my girls can rely on me, they can depend on me, I'm taking care of them. Like I like to know, it makes me feel good knowing that I can take care of other people.
Yes.
And I get more, I don't know if pride's the right word, but more pride out of knowing that like I've got these girls are taken care of versus like a little boy where I'm like, he's going to figure it out and he'll be okay.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But like raising my girls to be strong, independent, respectful women who aren't going to have to rely on some scumbag dude to try to take care. Like they're going to be able to do it on their own.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I'm going to make sure they got skills to do things. It's kind of like me. We're like, I'm not worried about how I'm going to get something done. I'm like, I'm going to figure it out and get it done.
Yep.
And I'm going to make sure to instill that in them. And that's like a big thing for me is like,
Yeah.
you don't have to rely on a guy, by the way. Like you can do it. Just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't get it done.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Well, when Dana married me, she wasn't relying on me to fix things. I was like summer camp for a strong, independent woman. But did you, something I think about constantly was like immediate, was like once we had the baby, not even like a long time in, I was like, I had a flashback of all the times I was a pain in the butt to my parents. And I was like, damn, I was super fortunate. Like, Dave had a tough upbringing. I mean, his parents were great, but he had his challenges. I was so fortunate. I had like no real adversity early on. Like I had everything I ever wanted, and I still was a pain in the ass. And then you think about it, like, damn. Like I called my parents. I was like, hey, we're 4 months in, and like, you know, thank you for everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's
it's so weird,
Mike.
But that's so weird.
Do you know what that must have did for your parents though? Like you come in full circle like that,
Yeah.
you calling them as a grown man saying, wow, I just want to thank you because I see what you guys went through. But I mean, first of all, kudos to you because a lot of people who I guess don't go through adversity and challenge and stuff, and he has gone through things.
And
Not like you
I
haven't.
am soft. We've talked about it like in general.
No,
like
but
Jay, come on, we had lunch together. I'm pretty soft, but that's why I work so hard with the business stuff because I'm like, what I
You
can't
want to give the
provide.
appearance of that you're like hard.
Well, no. But like my thought is like I had this. I basically started. If we're running a 400-yard dash, I started at 300 yards. I should win. Like I need to go win. I need my parents to see that I won, and my kids to see that because I have no excuse.
Right.
Right?
I get that.
Not that I was in
get
a
that.
golden spoon, but you know what I'm
no,
saying?
but that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
you want. Like all of us sitting here right now as dads, right? You want that. What your parents gave you is exactly what I want for my daughter.
Yeah.
I want my daughter to obviously know the process and know her roots and
That's
know,
that's a big one. I'm
know
glad
how
you're
to
bringing this up. Yep.
get through things for sure. But do I want to have her living in a, 2-bedroom apartment for her entire life? Mixed with her older brother? No, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Right? Like I want the house that we have that we're able to provide space. I want a yard for her to play. I want a private, dead end street. I want the lake across the street. Like we have that stuff now. We're very fortunate. But I would never want my daughter to have to go through the things that, I went through.
Yeah, I'm not saying I
it's
wanted
a
to go
great
through
thing.
that, but I'm just saying when you have like I think I've been thinking about it a lot. I think that's where my motivation comes from because like they sacrificed a lot and I'm in such a good position. It's like someone sends you to football camp and you got all the new gear and you're like, I better catch the football. You know what I mean?
You got the gloves and
So
everything,
now
the
I'm just like,
padding
I
on
got to
it.
catch the football. It's like,
Yeah.
I have the easy job. Now
But
let's
you're
just go
catching
do
it,
it.
man. You're
So
making
no, I
it
know.
fun.
What do
That's
you
my
think
thought
it is?
process.
What do you think it is? We all have 3 very different backgrounds. We all 3 of us and many other people are very motivated to do things. And it seems a lot like a lot of people that I've talked to who are most successful had a bunch of adversity in their life, right? So this is something I've thought about a lot because I'm kind of like, it's like we all want our kids to have all these things and be set up for success and all this stuff. Yep. But do you think that lack of adversity reduces their motivation and drive?
To a point,
potentially.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? And just like you said, you didn't have a lot of it. I didn't have any, dude, I'm the same way. I had everything I ever wanted. Yeah. I grew up on Hilton Head Island. Like, I'm very fortunate, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm one of the most motivated people I know.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's from the core values that your parents gave you. So somehow along the way, what we need to be doing, it translates.
Do you feel like you owe them something? Like you owe them for them to be proud when they say like, oh, like look at my son Beav, he built all this. Like we're super proud of him.
Yeah,
you think it stems from that a little bit?
They're proud of all of the brother. Like we've all.
Yeah. But I'm saying personally, do you take it as like I got to make sure that
I'm not out to prove anything to them.
Yeah,
my parents are not the kind of people that I feel like I need to prove anything.
Yeah, mine aren't either. So
they're
going to
be
figure
like,
it out.
They're super happy and pumped for me no matter what.
Yeah.
Even when I was failing doing cars. Not failing, but it wasn't like the super success. I was like poor as crap, but I was making ends meet. You know what I mean? But they were pumped for me then because I was doing things that were worthy of being like we built cars that set world records and we did things in magazines and we, all these things that like didn't make me financially successful, but they gave me some other success, which was something very cool for them to be proud of. Like, I was paving my own way, and I'm sure I could have taken an easy route somewhere along the line and just been like cool with it and been comfortable and just been like whatever, but that just wasn't in my DNA to like to take the normal path. I've gone, everything I've ever done in my life has been against the grain.
Oh, here's my next question. Do you think there's a portion of you that doesn't like to be told what they can and cannot do?
Oh, 100, dude.
That's how I am. Yeah. Like once someone says you can't do it, I'm like a 2-year-old. I'm like, oh yeah? Like you can't do that? I'm going to build that dining table.
I'm very much like that. Very much like that. Unless, no, probably even now. It's just
about everything.
Different things for sure. But like, it's just interesting because that's one of the fine lines that I have with my kids is like, I can provide them with an awful lot, but I also show them what it looks like to work all the time.
Correct.
Right? Like, which is the other thing that kind of kills me because they're like, oh, you're going back to work. You have to work again. Are you ever going to be done working or whatever? And that like kills me. Yep. You know what I mean? But at the same time,
I felt that when you said that. Like once, I kind of hope she doesn't talk for a while because once that comes out, I'm like, dude, can't go to work today.
It's tough. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they're like, they're understanding of like what it like. You have to go to work.
Yeah.
You have to get up. You have to go to work. Yep. These are the things like if you want this nice house, you have to work. If you want this new car, you have to work, And my daughter recently, I was teasing her. I'm like, what kind of car are you going to get? She's like, I want a Tesla. I was like, you better start picking sticks up out of the yard, girl.
I want a Tesla too. If you guys get a 2-for-1, hit me up.
Right? But like, stuff like that. I'm like, this don't come for free. You got to work for it, Yep. So while I feel like I have the opportunity to just like, I could possibly provide some of those things, but it's like, I also want you to work for it. And I'm not just going to like give you the new toy because you want the new toy. Like go clean some windows and vacuum the house and do this and do that. And like,
are you teaching a little financial education in the household yet? I think about that all the time.
A little bit. Like my kids are very different. One of them is more of a saver and the other one is a spender, big time. And I don't know how to, I wasn't really ever taught that. And I've had to like figure it out. Yeah. So I don't know how to teach it.
Do you know, you ever listen to Patrick Bet-David?
No. So I don't listen or watch
a lot of them.
Anything.
Isn't that funny? Like, yeah. But anyway, this guy, he has 4 kids now and he makes them, per book, I think, like additional books, not regular schoolwork, but like books that they're interested in or he recommends. He pays them each book they read. So he like tries to incentivize them to put in some effort. Or he's like, you want this thing, you got to read 3 books. So you need to tell me about these books and they have to be in something you're interested in or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He has a cool way to do it where it's like there's incentive. It teaches if you want something, you still have to work for it, but it's not like crazy where they're like,
I'll do things, and I'll put them to work all week and I'll give them $20 or something, and then one of them will go and they both, as soon as they get that money in their hands, like they want to go to Target, you know what I mean? They want to buy a toy. Well, one of them will go buy like a $5 toy and save the rest. And the other one's like all $20 gone. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So I've let them do that a few times to kind of like let them sort of figure it out on their own, right? Where now Kendall's got $40 saved up and she can go buy something else. And Cameron's like, can I have some money too? I'm like, no, she saved her money,
saved it,
you know?
yeah.
So now I gave my oldest some money recently. She was here. She worked a whole day. She helped me weld this bumper together and she was sweeping the shop and all this stuff. So I gave her $2 an hour,
Nice.
you know, kind of give her a little sense of like the more I work, the more money I get, kind of like instill that in her a little bit. And immediately she wanted to like go buy something. I'm like, I'll let you, but you can spend $10 on a thing and you have to save $10.
That's
like,
good.
At least, so it's like, now it's like I'm forcing her to save half of it at least. So I don't know how long, I don't know. I'm doing the best I can to teach it.
No,
I don't
of
know
course.
how to teach it because I'm terrible myself.
Yeah, you were saying.
I'm really bad.
Well, you go make more of it so you can spend more of it. You know what I mean? So, hey, look, as long as you're making it, you know, you can't spend it. And life is short, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what are you going to die with it? You know, so you
I don't
definitely.
know if that's the right message for everyone.
No.
I'm kidding.
But it's a thought process that you definitely have.
You got
to
to
have
enjoy
to
some of it.
Correct, because if you work yourself into the ground, like I watched.
What's the point?
Right. I literally watched my. I mean, he was doing it obviously to survive. He was working 4 jobs and going crazy for years and years and years. But my dad missed a lot of my basketball games. He missed a lot of my football games. So I was that kid that was like, "Hey, can I jump in the car with Mike? And can Mike's mom drive me down to the field?"
Yeah.
Right.
Like that was me. So like when my wife and I got together, I was working for the first 8 years. We've been together 11 years. And for the first 8 years, I worked every single weekend. Like I had 2 jobs. I was working on a golf course. I was full time, but like I knew that we had a goal in mind. Like and I'll be very honest, we wanted to save $100,000 from the gutter, from zero. And my wife has a great job as well. So we were able to do it together. But that was something I was like, you know what? We need to do this because I want to invest in real estate. I want to buy a 3-family house. Then I want to buy a house for us while we're working. But once we have our child, I don't want to work weekends anymore. So we finally got to the place, and I'm not taking my foot off the gas, but like my job now is a Monday through Friday. Saturdays are strictly for like public events. If I need to go public speak somewhere, if I need to show up, I keep it for Saturdays. Other than that, I'm not working because I saw what it did, right? And I want to be there.
You.
Correct.
Yeah.
And not that I just would have liked my dad there more. You know what I mean? So I never want her to feel that ever. And then the other point that I wanted to touch on is the motivation that you were talking about, right? And then this is something in life, I think it's beneficial for all of us. But there's like 3 stages, right? You have the motivational stage, and I think everybody can be motivated because motivation is temporary. But temporary obviously doesn't last forever. So we can, our daughters can have motivation and stuff like that, and we can teach motivation. But then there's the next phase, which is inspiration. You have to be inspired. Like something in your spirit has to ignite you.
Something internal.
To keep going, right? The word inspiration is literally in your spirit, something from within. Right. So you can, it's very
never
literal,
thought about that.
right? But I mean, that's how I view it. That's how I look at it. But then there's the third phase, which no matter what, because eventually motivation dies off, then inspiration can die off. But once you have that internal drive from doing things over and over and over again in terms of consistency, whether it's good habits in your life, in your fitness, in your business,
kind of like a
whatever it is.
momentum.
Correct. You get to a point, and
like
that's
that
the
word.
point that you can't teach.
Momentum's good.
You can't teach because as soon as you stop, like if I stop working out, my body goes, in a
Start to
month,
look like
2
me.
months. No.
And then I'm like the final boss.
But you get what I'm saying? Like, so I was dying to say it before, but I think we can teach our children motivation. And you can even inspire them through the work that they're seeing their fathers do. But that internal drive has to come from them working and sweeping and getting paid $2 an hour to do it. Those are the things that I think eventually become the internal drive, and that makes who your daughter's going to be. Does that make sense?
I love it. On that,
Did I ramble?
No, that was good.
No,
On that
no.
note, the inspiration stuff. I feel like, do you brainwash your kids?
Daddy's the best.
Do you like that type of question?
I don't know.
No, the reason I'm saying this is something I did, and I always do, is I just keep repeating things in the house, and people think I'm crazy. And like, so Dana, I was like, don't get too comfortable, buy another house. Don't get too comfortable, buy another house. And I said it like every day for like however long. Then there was this house that came on the market, and she was always against moving to the next property. And I kept telling her, this is a rental. Don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. Then this next house, it was her idea. And she's like, I don't even think it was my idea. I think you just said it so many times that I started to just be like,
that's like when you will things into existence.
Yeah,
What's it called?
Yes,
When
manifesting them.
manifest. Yeah. I mean, I've done that.
so you do
Brandy probably more so than myself. My wife, like she's got like a vision board, and she'll like pin things on it.
I love vision boards.
And
I haven't done one actually, but I love them. Awesome
dude,
though, right?
She's like some sort of
wizard.
Maybe I need to
magical
connect
wizard.
with her.
I don't know what her deal
I can
is.
tell her the vision. She could.
There's
put it
like
up there.
things that have happened that I'm convinced like that's why.
from the board.
From the board. Like
Good
for
luck.
example, I can't really tell my address, but there's the house that I live in right now.
You just moved in not too long ago, right? Like a year. Or
I've
something?
been there like 3 years now.
3 years. No,
Good research.
I'm
Dave.
telling him no. No, but I feel like did you just do a project in your house or something not
Yeah.
too long ago?
Yeah, I did a big construction project.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
See, so I'm not too
When you're
far.
done, come to my house. Yeah.
Yeah, so-
we need new electrical.
But there was something about the house that related to an animal. So she was like flipping through a magazine and saw this animal that resembled this house, right? I'm trying to say it like that because I don't want to give out my address.
Okay, gotcha.
So
I'm
she,
filling in
anyways,
the blank.
she clips this thing out, puts it on the vision board, and like something that should not have happened.
you live on Lionheart Drive.
Or essentially,
Yeah.
right? Like, let's say it's Lionheart Drive. She puts a picture of a lion on there, and she's like, "We have to get this house. We have to get this house."
That's
And I was
unbelievable.
not in the position to buy this house. And then the lady, like, was willing to rent us the house for a year and then buy it a year from now when I would have been in a position like who does
Which
that?
is insane.
Like
Especially
a free
that doesn't
occupancy
happen.
for a year like
You're
that.
right. Yep,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Like
happen.
that doesn't
they would
just
never let
happen.
that happen.
You know what I mean?
Not.
And she was like, "Oh, I love your girls. They're so cute." Da, 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 all this stuff. And she was like, "No problem." Like,
What?
right?
Yeah.
So we rented the house. A year later, we ended up closing on it. Everything worked out great. All
Wow.
this stuff. Blah,
And now
blah,
you
blah.
live on Lionheart Drive.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And then to do that, one of the other things was like, all right, I need more cash for this house to buy it. I'll put a bunch of ducks in a row because we were living in a small house at the time, 2 kids, 3 dogs, all this stuff, cats. We were like, God, get me out of here. We were so desperate to get in that house. So I was like, I got to sell my motorcycle. I got to collect cash from everywhere I can to make this happen. Right. So
Digging up the backyard,
yeah,
buried cash.
yeah, exactly. And this is just a few years ago. Like I was still broke then. Like it was crazy. So she takes a picture of my Harley and like puts it on her vision board. Like 2 weeks later, it's sold to like the guy that's doing work on the house. Like,
Can
it's
I
just
put some stuff on this vision
Yeah,
board?
right?
Is there like rentable space?
dude,
It's
crazy,
manifesting
like
though, yeah.
crazy stuff that she's
Yep.
put on there that's just like happened. And I mean, it's just bizarre, really strange things and like random stuff. I'm trying to think of another scenario. I just had one on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, there's things like that. She won't even tell me it's on her vision board because I just kind of like, I'm like, you're crazy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, this is nonsense. This is
So she
voodoo
doesn't
magic.
verbalize it to you though. She just puts it on the board.
It's just there.
That's
and then like
hilarious.
things will happen and she'll be like,
She'd be like,
she just
look right
points.
there.
And, yep. And I'm like, holy shit.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So other things that she manifests, bad,
yeah,
right? So
You're like, what'd you
a
do?
few years back when we started this construction project that you were talking about, that you saw going on my house, when we first started that, I was over there checking on the house and I jumped over a bunch of rock. They were doing a bunch of pavers and a bunch of stuff out in the
Yep.
yard. So there's like a rock and all this stuff. So I like hopped over this thing and I like roll my ankle.
Oh.
I like land on I roll my ankle and I'm like, oh God. I'm like, oh, I'm okay. I like walk it off. And by like that evening, I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up. My ankle's swollen. I'm like, oh, this is not good. I need to go get an x-ray. So I go get an x-ray and like nothing's broken. Everything looks good. Sprain, like here's some crutches, take some pain meds. Here's a prescription for some like Motrin, 800 milligram, whatever, nothing crazy.
Yep.
And so we get back to the house and she's like, God, can you imagine if you like broke your leg or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like a week later, I
broke
fall
your
off my
leg.
boosted board, break my leg.
Oh my.
Oh, that's that
God.
one wheel.
No, it's an actual skateboard, 4-wheel skateboard, motorized. It's
And you
in- it's in the
broke your
opposite
actual
direction.
leg.
So I break the crap out of my knee.
Oh,
Right. So, and then I end up like driving myself to the hospital. I end up surgery a few weeks later, which by then it's starting to heal. So like break my knee back apart to screw it back together in the right place, yada, yada, yada.
Oh,
So then throughout this, right, with my broken leg,
yeah.
she's like, God, could you imagine what would happen if we had to evacuate for a hurricane
Oh,
with
no.
her broken leg?
What?
Like 3 days later, fucking hurricanes coming through.
Wow.
I'm like, stop talking.
Stop.
Just stop.
That's scary.
Like crazy things. And now she'll start to utter things. And I'm like, nah, stop.
that's why. That's a whole nother level. My mom thinks she has ESP.
Yeah.
ESP, right? That's it.
What's that?
I don't know. So it's like where you just
You know
like,
what's like
yeah.
in the future. She always says stuff, and stuff happens. Like she knew me and my brother got a big fight, and he not broke every mailbox in the neighborhood like an idiot.
Was I there? I think I was there.
Yeah, he broke it up.
Yeah.
But this was like 200 pounds ago because
I was getting punched and thrown around by two brothers, and I'm just
anyway,
dude, you got to stop breaking these mailboxes.
Yeah, she called and she was like, "You guys get in a fight?" And they were like in Boston or something. I'm like, "No." And then my brother sang like a canary. But
That's just like mom instinct.
mom tuition.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I believe in that because I'm like, we came out of her. So like if there's any type of thing.
Did your
that's
eyes breastfeed?
My wife tried, and she wasn't really able to.
I
for like
told
a month. I think
we
that
had a
was
big
it.
argument, me and Dana, about breastfeeding. And in my head, I thought it was breastfed, and I think I'm a genius. So I'm like, you got to breastfeed. If they don't get breastfed, they're stupid, blah, blah. I'm like, right, mom? I go, right, mom? And my mom goes, you never were breastfed. And I was like, what? I've been arguing this for
There's
3
no
years.
right answer. I
Yeah.
mean, some kids just don't like.
But I think natural, right?
I just like arguing.
They say breast is best, which probably is true.
What? Who
they do.
says that?
No, that's like a.
It's a thing. And there's no right answer. There's nothing wrong with
that's natural, right?
That's
It's
the
like-
first time I've heard that. Breast is
But
best.
the funny
Put my
part is
name on
though,
it, Dave Reggina.
but it goes back to that mom instinct because, like, randomly, Brandy will be like in the back of the house somewhere, and I'll have the baby, and she'll text me, and she's like, "My boobs are tingling. Is the baby fussy?"
Oh my God.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, she just started crying. Like it's just so it's
That's
just like
crazy.
super
Yep.
weird like that, right? And like she didn't hear the baby. She's like asking me,
Yeah.
did the baby
Wow.
just start crying?
Yeah, but
Like,
that whole scenario, whatever mom thinks, mom does what she wants because I got no opinion on
Yeah.
that. Whatever works.
yeah, there's no right answer. It's just like preference, really.
But
Like
Ben-
my oldest daughter was not breastfed. Like we tried, same thing. Like had a lot of complications, wasn't working.
Yep.
We were like, it was just like an uphill battle. We were like, all right, forget about it. Like formula, bottles, whatever. And she's fine. She's like an incredible athlete, gymnast, like super strong. Like she's smart as a button. There's literally nothing wrong with it.
Right.
The whole manifesting and like repeating things, you don't realize that they're absorbing things. And everyone says like kids absorb, but I feel like people around you absorb the vibe. Like if you just come in constantly negative about stuff,
Yeah.
it just gets absorbed in, and then it's like a mirror type of thing. But it is funny because like there's certain things we just repeat, and you don't even think about the way you say stuff, and then they start repeating, like, "Ooh, I'm brainwashing you." It's fun.
Well,
to see.
yeah. You know what? One example of that, and I hate saying I hope I don't. offend
Dave does
anybody.
it to us too, by the way.
Well, we went to the McDonald's drive-through one time, and the kids like ordered, like they don't want the
Fish fillet, it's my
pickles
favorite.
or something on their burger. We were talking about that at lunch.
Beav had a child's lunch today, by the way. He literally,
really?
He ordered, what was it? The pulled pork, no barbecue sauce, no pickles, a side of macaroni and cheese, and some French fries.
What's
I
wrong
mean, it's
with
great.
that?
It's great.
And
it's great. But
That sounds
Wait.
amazing.
But I
And
ordered
he-
the same
and he
thing.
left the bun though.
Oh yeah, and he didn't eat the bun. But I ordered the same thing. I'm like extra barbecue sauce, extra pickles.
Yeah.
So I guess that was
Extra
that was-
thick.
And
that
you
was
were
the
wrong.
difference. And you were wrong.
Yeah, that was
No, but they were all
Go ahead,
upset
McDonald's,
because
yeah.
whatever they ordered, they made incorrectly, and it took forever, right? So I was like, it's because they're lazy workers and they don't pay attention to what they're doing,
Yeah.
So now everything that like ever happens wrong anywhere, they're like lazy workers. And I'm like, yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's a good lesson in itself, though. It's like, because if you're teaching good work ethic, right? And not that everybody's lazy that's not getting things done. But I think there's a good
But it's
point
just
to that.
paying attention
Yes.
and not being like lazy about
Right.
it or whatever. So I said that one time, and I have said it a few times since then. But it is in their head that like if someone doesn't do something wrong with it, they're like lazy workers.
Yep. I will say in terms of what we're talking about and like manifesting things, with my daughter, I've had this thing. Well, so through my line of work,
Oh yeah.
I've seen, I want to say young women, 13 to 16 year olds that you can tell as a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old girl, their lack of confidence is extreme for whatever reason through their upbringing, right? And they've gone through it, so clearly I understand it. I saw that and I'm like, wow, I just don't want my daughter to go through that. I work very closely with those girls to try to, get them in women's empowerment programs and all that. But something that I did as soon as my daughter was born is literally I took her in the hospital into the bathroom, right in front of the mirror. I'm rubbing her back and I just whispered to her, "You are so beautiful. You are so beautiful." And I've done that every single day for the past year and however many weeks she's been alive. But she's not going to have any confidence issues. It might bite me in the butt because she might walk around and be like, "My daddy says I am so beautiful."
She's gonna get crazy.
You know what I mean? But
It's interesting though. Like I tell my
don't
kids
know.
all the time, they're beautiful and they're princesses and
Yep.
all these different things.
Yep.
And I like to think they're confident. I think everyone here would think that my kids are pretty confident.
That's awesome.
They're not shy
it's
at all.
something that is something.
But
that,
I don't want them to be brainwashed and think that there's like some altered reality.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
of course.
It's careful.
You definitely have to be careful
Dressing
with
in
it. But
princess outfits at school.
I've seen the damage and the lack of confidence that stops them from doing just everyday things. You know, they're embarrassed to do something. Go ahead, mess up, baby girl. It's fine. You know, it's okay. Go ahead. Like, you're still beautiful at the end of the day.
Daddy will beat up everyone. Don't worry.
But you know what I mean? And that's something that I feel like I can control in my household, even in my line of work. I feel like I can control it to an extent. So anytime that I do see somebody with their head down, I'll be like, you know, pick your chin up. And they'll be like, why? Because the crown's going to fall off. Pick it up.
Ooh, that's a good
you know what I'm
saying. Where'd you get that one?
You
He's
know
got
what I mean?
good one-liners.
But no, but
He's
it's
never
something-
sent any of them to me, by the way.
It's just something that it's
gonna write a book.
easy. It's easy to do, you know, and we can get caught up, especially as dads, in the chaos and complaining and, you know, oh, this sucks right now. Like, no, perspective it could always be worse. You know what I mean?
And it's especially when you've been there and it's been worse.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're like,
but it's hard though, man. I find myself complaining all the time. I do. It's
very hard.
I do, and then I catch myself, and I've gotten to a place to where I constantly fall back on my past experiences now. But for a long time, I didn't do that, and I would allow the complaints to keep going, and then I'm getting nowhere. Whereas now, I'll complain about it. I'll even say something. It'll come out of my mouth, and I'll be like, "Babe, you didn't hear that. Let's move." You know what I mean? Because a thought will pop in my
It's hard
head.
to backtrack, though, when you say something to your wife.
but
That's not a reverse.
I didn't say that.
But I've also learned how to apologize too, and how to admit when I'm wrong. Like, that was something that was like, I'm very stubborn as it is. Just even in business, I'm stubborn. In my own life, I'm stubborn. Like, I want things my way. We were talking about the control thing. That's definitely me to a T. But you have to learn how to take your foot off the gas in that sense, right? And if you are wrong, you got to be able to speak about it. And that's something that even the podcast platform has allowed me to do, because those uncomfortable things, I get to chop it up with Mike and Claudio and just ramble about my problems. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of toothpaste that's escaped on the podcast.
What do you mean?
You know when you say they can't put the toothpaste back in the tooth?
I got you.
The bottle? You've never heard that?
No.
Really? When the toothpaste
I mean,
gets out of the
It's
I
like
didn't-
let the
I
genie
got it
out of the
now.
bottle
Yes,
kind of a thing.
same
Like,
thing.
you can't put it back.
But
yeah,
think
so
about
like
it.
I try to backtrack.
I
and I'm
remember
like,
the
I didn't
first
say
time you
that. I
said
didn't mean it
that.
like that.
Think about it though. Like, if you
Yeah,
squeeze
you can't put
toothpaste out, how are you
toothpaste
getting it
back
back
in.
in?
I didn't make it up,
Well,
guys.
my
This is
kids
a
just
standard.
smear it all over the counter.
Travis
so.
got it.
I smear it on the mirrors and everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Blame it on Callie.
It's that's difficult about the podcast. You talk a lot.
So are you guys, this is something that I've battled with because I'm kind of a perfectionist and I'm always looking at how it could have been better. And I caught myself at times with my kids where I've asked them to clean their room or something like that, right? And I'm always like a glass kind of half empty, you know, kind of like like their room will be an absolute disaster. I'll walk it like, I'm like, you guys need to clean this up. And I go in there and they've like cleaned up 95% of it. And I don't walk
that
in
right there.
Yeah, I don't walk in there being like, wow, this looks great. I'm always like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. And that makes them feel like they didn't do anything versus like, you guys did a great job, but like there's a few more things left and then like this will be awesome.
Do you challenge yourself the same way?
I'm the second one.
Well, I've had to make a more conscious, like in my head. And now that I made myself aware of it, I'm like, damn, I'm like really kind of like almost belittling them, or I'm like not acknowledging how much good stuff they did. And I'm
Yes.
only focused on the bad things where it's like, you guys could have done this and there's stuff under your bed and whatever. And I'm like, okay, hold on, take a step back. They just did like a killer job, but there's like two things
It's
on
like
the floor.
shining beautifully.
That's one of the best
So-
lessons that I've learned in business, actually, right there.
Really?
Because I am that. I am, in my own life, I will look at things and I'll say, I could have done this better. I could have done that
That's
better.
me all day.
This could have worked out differently. There could have been a different outcome. I should have done X, Y, Z. The position that I'm in, managing the budget that I managing the employees and the staff that I have, I'm a little cocky in a sense of my work ethic, right? I take my work ethic very seriously. But at the end of the day, a lot of people don't work the way that I work. And I had to become okay with people not living up to my expectation. But as long as I can motivate them to do the best that they can, it's now my job. Because if they do fulfill that, then my fulfillment to them is to acknowledge that progress. And even though I see faults in it, the first thing that I have to do is acknowledge how good of a job they did. But in the back of my head, it's kind of like a Black Mamba mentality, Kobe Bryant, right? Like, you just always think you're outworking everybody. And at the end of the day, I know you work just as hard or if not harder. I know you work just as hard or if not harder, But at the same time, I'm going to tell myself that I work the hardest, But that was a major lesson for me. And my leadership skills have gotten so much better because of that. And I've been able to acknowledge people's growth, even if I do see a flaw in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm not a perfectionist at all.
Yeah, he's good.
I do
like
something.
that.
He's good. I keep it moving.
He's very good.
Because with my profession and just my mentality, once the deal's done, it's not over. But if it either went through or didn't, yes, you can look back and see what you can improve on. But the only thing you could do is on the next one adjust. Mm-hmm. But there's no point in going back and be like, you should have done this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just keep moving.
What's funny is I'm kind of a combo, and it depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Because there's some things where I'm like, those details don't matter. Just go. Just keep, put it out, do the thing, doesn't matter. And then other things I'm like, has to be absolutely. And I think it depends on the project, right?
Yeah,
if I was building a customer's car, like for example, this car that goes and sets a world record, like it's not like, oh, these minor details don't matter. Like everything has to be perfect.
What did that car sell for? Are we allowed to say?
Yeah, $143,000. Wow. It was an old Volkswagen bus.
That's awesome.
It was a selling price world record.
Wow.
At the time, yeah.
Look it up.
On a 67 21 window deluxe. Pretty cool. We almost cut that thing up and made it into like this full custom hoopty thing. It was
my God.
And then I started looking at the VIN number. I was like, because I was ordering parts for it. So I was like, all right, let me get all the VIN information off this thing so I get the right things, And I'm like, oh, it's a 67. I didn't know exactly what year it was initially because this thing was, anyways. I'm like, I think those things are kind of rare, And then I was like, oh, this is like a legit. I thought it was a 21 window. Normally, those things have 13 windows in them, and then they have a 21 window and a 23 window. 23 window versions are like super rare and more expensive, and a 21 window is like rare, but a lot of people converted a 13 window into a 21 window, so it wasn't uncommon to see one in that configuration, but they weren't all original like that.
Gotcha.
So this was a 67, which was the last year, a 21 window, which was rare, and then it was a deluxe, which is even more rare. So it had like certain options or whatever. And we found out that was what it was. And I was like, called the customer. I was like, we cannot cut this thing up and like slam it and put big wheels and make it super custom. Like this needs to be like a museum restoration. He's like, you really think? I'm like, dude, they were like, all right, cool, we're on board. Whatever,
Oh,
that's incredible.
That person must have been like, wow, they really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and they're awesome people. They're great customers. And then after that, they would just bring me stuff with like, no, they're just like, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
It was kind of like
if you
no
made that,
budget
I'd be like,
type of scenario.
Yep.
Made it really fun to work with.
Yeah,
that's
where
cool.
they were like, whatever you think, the guy that was doing it was super into cars, and he had his input as well. But it was like, I totally like whatever you think is right. So that's fun.
awesome.
But
where's the car
good
now?
In business too. That's
That
such
car?
a good business
No
example.
idea.
You don't know.
Yeah.
No clue.
But that's such a good example. Like if you do clients right the first time, like you're
Same with real estate, right?
It's
How many times are they coming back? Every
if you
single
do
time.
it correctly, right? Sometimes it just doesn't work out, which is fine. But when you do it correctly, even if it's like a small thing, like I've had clients that have $2,000 rentals, which it's not cheap, but it's not like it's not going to make you rich. And then the next house they buy is like 1.5 million. So it's like you can't. You guys got to treat everyone as if they're the golden customer.
My realtor, she sold me a house when I was 18, and she was the only person that took me seriously. And remember, at that age, I was making $90,000 a year, working for.
Yep.
Yeah, I told this on the other podcast.
Yeah.
I was making a bunch of money. I was super young, and everybody I talked to was like, "This kid."
Yeah.
And she was the only one that took me seriously.
Wow.
Well, you never know who has like the people who can really afford houses. You have like I have
idea.
no idea.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I meet someone, I'm
damn.
like, the chances of this guy buying a house are very slim, I guess. Just in your head, you play the game. And then they're the one that's like, yeah, just
Cash,
money's no
whatever.
object.
Yeah.
Whatever. You're like, what?
Yeah.
It's funny to see how different people live.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It really is.
Or their like vibe and persona, how they present themselves.
But
You're like,
I'm telling you,
this
the top guy in our district, right? He makes a good bit of money for sure. He drives a like 2002 Toyota Corolla.
That's my guy.
No, but makes a ton of money.
So funny.
Wears like, kind of, I would say disheveled looking shirts, but people love him.
Yeah.
And he's got more money in the bank than I don't know what he's going to do with it. I mean, if he's listening, hopefully he could send some my way, But it's just so funny to see how people live.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know what he did, I mean, you'd be like, well, this guy's he's a bum.
Yeah.
I tell Dave all the time, one of my I have a lot of like scenarios. Like one of them's with Dana. I'm like, we're going to have a villa in Italy. I'm going to look at him and say, was it worth it? There's going to be moments that I'm going to call and then do like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever. One of the things I tell Dave all the time is like, I want to be like at a place and then we'd be like, oh, this place is sick. It's a cool restaurant, blah, blah. And then I look over at Dave. I'm like, Dave, I own the building. Like little things where he's like, are you serious? And then you just like show him the deed.
Or the guys trip you've told me about.
Oh yeah. Another thing is like one day I want to just like have a helicopter pull up to one of like his house. And then it's like, all right, come on, we're going to Hilton Head. We're going to play golf. And he's like, who's paying? Like, don't worry about it. Just get in.
We're going to see Beav.
I think that's
going down the Hilton Head.
But here's the funny part. It'll be my helicopter.
Yeah.
I want a helicopter so bad, dude.
Oh, perfect. It's fun. See, manifesting, right? I just said that. Maybe 20 years down the road, you'll have a helicopter.
You look like you have a helicopter, though.
I want one
you look
so
like
bad.
Can you build one?
So bad.
Can you build one?
Oh, yeah.
He does, right?
Yeah. He does look like he owns a helicopter.
Yes, absolutely.
I want a helicopter so bad.
That's awesome.
Like, it's the only thing I talk about.
Really? This is weird.
That's funny. I think we're manifesting.
Jade's like, hey, that storm, there's a couple of trees down. I'm going to be a few minutes late. And it's like, send a helicopter emoji back, you know? Yeah. And every single time, everyone knows. It's the only thing I talk about.
Apparently, it's a good write-off. At 1 year, if you have extra cash, apparently it's a good write-off.
That's
forced depreciation.
You know what's really funny is like those are the types of things that motivate me. It's like I'm kind of materialistic like that.
Yeah.
And it's not like I want things because I want to like show them off or be like whatever. Like I just want cool shit that's fun. And like that's my motivation to do more a lot of times.
But it's the experience, right?
Of the thing?
Yeah, like flying in a helicopter is an experience. It's not like,
it's like
look at my helicopter. It's like I'm in an effing helicopter going to work.
It's fun. Like same with my boat. I didn't buy a boat to flaunt it or whatever. Like I want to go have fun.
Like you use it.
So like owning that boat and what it takes to continue to own that boat is what motivates me to keep going.
Right, it's worth it.
Paying for the damn thing. Right. You know what I mean? So it's like
boats are expensive, man.
The things that motivate me are just like the things that I want that create those fun experiences. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I want to take everyone on the ride with me. You know what I mean? It's like I'm not doing it just for me. I tried my best to like make sure everyone's like having fun around me and they're getting to enjoy it too.
Yep.
But which is really funny because you said earlier teaching motivation.
Yes. Yeah.
That one gets me because I don't know if you can teach motivation.
So motivation, you know what I mean? Well, and by teaching again, I mean through visual experience, right? Like if I'm doing things that motivate me and she sees the reaction that I get from it, I think she can apply that in her own life, right? So I don't mean it in a sense of like, oh yeah, you can, just keep, if she likes to draw or whatever, go ahead, just draw and you're going to get motivated. I don't believe that. I believe that if I live a motivated lifestyle, that will then, translate it to her. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it for me is like, because if I didn't want anything else in my life, I'd quit working the way I work right now.
But that's it right there. That's the
I
word.
like the game of it though.
That's it though.
Yeah.
Want. I don't like the game of working.
I like the game. I like the figuring out of things.
Motivation, right? Is you want things, right? So for you to get it, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. And that's really how you like I think any child, you want a cookie, right? Now you're motivated to go get the cookie. But now once they get that cookie, the motivation goes away. That's why I was saying it's temporary.
Right.
But the teachable moment is like, oh, you want something? Okay, now you're motivated to go do it. Right. And I think the language that we use is important too. Like obviously not for she's one, she doesn't know what I'm saying.
Sure.
But I mean, for you have a 10-year-old, 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, you said, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the language that you're using in the household around your wife, around them, you keep speaking about motivation and that type of stuff, that clicks and that will actually catch on, I think. And I see it because I work around young kids, right? Like I get to sit upstairs in a beautiful office, but I also get to go out to the park, see the programs that we're putting on, talk to the 7-year-old and have those interactions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I find the like visually, if I'm doing something, it works a lot more than if I voice it to someone. I think it's my style of delivery, but like I think, and I'm gonna put Dana on the spot here, but I think living with me for so long, she's seen how I just go, and just like I've taken some things from her on how to like chill every once in a while, like manage certain things, relax about certain things. She's taken from me about like knocking things out. But when I've told her stuff, it doesn't hit. But throughout the days where I do it, and I'm out doing things, then it just clicks. I don't know how to explain it. Like just by action, I feel like it sinks in more with some people, you know. Jade's gonna get this fly too.
Dude, she's got a
She's
shoe.
gonna get That's one. This is weird to say.
It's
This
fun.
is very weird to say. I own 2 properties now. Both are like, 1924, whatever it is, old houses. And the flies and stuff that get into these houses. I am the king at catching flies.
Catching them?
Yeah, my dad does it like Mr. Miyagi style.
Yeah.
I go in like straight with like palm, and you make this beautiful like newly painted wall. I don't care. This bug's dying. I'm splattering blood everywhere.
Dude,
Like
speaking
that
of bug,
spider we got
I
earlier?
was just gonna say.
Oh yeah, I screamed like a little. I ran out.
Yeah, what are you squashing?
I was
After
like,
your reaction
what did I
there,
say?
dude?
I went to put down my tactical baby gear bag, and I go, whoa, and I walked to the other side.
That was a
man.
big spider.
Yeah, man.
The other thing that that's like being motivated and wanting certain things. I wrote a note down here earlier because this is something that I've kind of like given advice to other people about, and it's like be careful what you wish for. Like everybody has this big idea of what this thing is that they want, but when you get there, it's not what you thought. You know what I mean? Like the grass isn't greener on the other side all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, just be real. Cause like, I mean, it's like, I just see a lot of people who seemingly have a lot of success and are very wealthy, but they're miserable.
Very
assholes.
unhappy.
They don't want
You
that.
know what I mean? And it's like they put themselves in this position because they wanted to be rich or something, but like, okay, now what?
Right.
Now you're just
And do you have anybody to enjoy it with?
no,
Right.
they don't.
Exactly.
Like I could tell you several people that are just old, lonely men with no family, no kids. They got a ton of money, but does it matter?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Like, so like those, that's like what's important to you and be careful what you wish for. Like 2 big things that like stick with me.
But again, it's so basic, right? Like we were talking about it in the car. I was like, damn, I loved what Beav said about just being nice, right? Like it's something that's so simple, but it's like, don't overthink things. No, just be a good person, right? Something that always, go ahead. What do you?
I was gonna say, I think I'd be the nicest rich person if someone gave me a bunch of cash.
I'll never be that rich.
Because
I
you'll
just
use
won't.
it.
I'm just going to use it.
Yeah, but you have to
Like,
because you can't
right.
be too rich because then you get too rich and everyone wants that. You
Yep.
got to be.
But like,
Dude, I'm just about having fun, man.
Yeah,
Like,
Yep.
which is that's what it's all about.
just adding to
Sorry,
that.
go ahead.
No, but to keep it simple, right? With the being nice thing, we were talking in the car, and I was like, a big moment for me in terms of my professional world. When I moved into that commissioner space, obviously I was leading a lot of people now, and I have really good relationships with people. So now they're constantly asking me like, well, how do you get along with this person and get along with this person? Because I hate that person or whatever it is, right? And it's so simple because my answer now is like, you probably heard this when you were 5, but to be a good leader, you have to treat others the way you want to be treated.
it's like,
Right? But it's the most basic thing in the world. Like if I want to be you want to be a good founder, a good CEO, clearly, are you going to come down on somebody in a certain way? Or are you going to take the time to say, you know what? All right, what would I want? Yes, I did wrong. Okay, yes, there's got to be consequences. But what's something that's fair? And that's what I do in my world, right? And as long as you can keep those values and those morals, I don't think the people who go out and get it and they are successful will end up having the problems. I think it's the people who, try to get there selfishly that then get to that space. And then it's terrible because I see it all the time too. I'm like, yeah, that's a really dope red Corvette you have, but who's behind you?
yeah,
Who's with you? Like your kids don't talk to you anymore. I know tons of people like that too.
Yep.
It's crazy.
sucks.
I hear you. Yeah, man.
Yeah. No, the comment about the money and the being a jerk is 100% true. There's some people that are super jerks.
Yeah, Mike. I mean,
I'm a
super jerk.
Listen, I'm the worst. But when you grew up in that world, so you see all of that, which I think probably made you more aware of what you become once you become successful at whatever level. You know what I mean? I
And
feel
when it's
super
like-
aware of it.
Yeah. And like, what is successful, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
There's
oh, yeah.
no.
that's
There's
everyone's own definition. There's
Yeah.
no one.
Yeah.
But most people associate success with money.
Or material things.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, but I can go lease a $700 car
Yeah.
and be making $50,000 a year.
Mhm.
It's just the way society is these days, which is just crazy.
I think there's a benefit in being oblivious. And like, I kind of am so in the ADD in my own world about things that I don't even like think of things. Like, when I see things, I'm not like, oh, this person doesn't. I'm just like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I get back to whatever I was doing. What was I doing again?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
Yeah. In my
butterfly.
mind, like success for me is just happiness. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what I want my girls to take away. It's like, as long as you're happy doing what you want to do,
Yeah.
you won.
Yes.
Period.
That's the truth.
Yeah. It's all about creating more time so you can do what you want to do.
That's the hard part.
I.e., take some more weekends off, boys.
See, it's funny. You're telling that story and you're like, yeah, I don't work weekends anymore. I'm like, I work every weekend.
But it's situational though, right?
But I'm taking Livy with me. She's working with me.
No, but it's situational. Like your line of work, you happen to be very busy on a Saturday, Sunday. You might not be as busy on a Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, my exit
You know what I
plan,
mean?
which it sounds like you kind of had one going in. It's not exit, but my thought is I'm doing more commercial now, and commercial guys don't work many weekends. And the whole reason I got into real estate was build my own portfolio. So like the first couple take a while, and then the momentum of pulling money out, putting it into another property, it kind of takes hold. So I'm hoping, I'm 31 now as of like a week ago.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Wait,
very
when's your
much.
birthday?
July 3rd.
Mine's June 27th. So like,
Oh, that's a good
right there.
birthday.
Yeah.
So you know what the worst part is? Like we have a family reunion once a year. There's people I only see once a year, and it's the day after my birthday every year. So they all
4th of
see
July?
me. They all see me. Yeah, they all see me hungover every year.
Yeah, we usually have
so like,
bangers
is this
on
kid
July
always
3rd.
drinking? Yeah, so they always think that I'm like a lush, but whatever.
The weather this year sucked though, so we didn't get to.
Yeah, we didn't
enjoy
do
it,
much.
right? Yeah.
What was I just talking about?
The momentum of like investing in properties
Oh,
and how it starts.
So
to-
my point being is I'm 31. I always say to Dana, I'm not going to retire. Like that's not my game plan, but I always say to her, I'm like, retire by 35, retire by 30. I just keep saying it to her.
Michael, you got like 4 years.
Yeah, but when I say retire, it means
Yeah,
like
no,
you
I
don't
got you.
have to go
Right.
sell properties if you don't want to,
Correct.
because your whatever's
Creating
your
income for
passive
you.
income is well, passive is whatever.
Yeah.
You're still
But it's working
rentals.
for you. You're still making money while you're not really doing anything.
Well, my point being is my sort of exit plan is then recalibrate at that number, because if I have 3 kids, 2 kids, whatever it is, then it might be
of-
different at that time, and I got to be okay with that. But I have to plan for that, so I have an exit. So all the stuff that I suck at now and I'm trying to figure out, which we don't have to do, is in my head I'm like, I need to figure it out because I got to get stuff organized. So if I want to take this move, I'll be prepared to. And that's the whole time thing. It's all like you're just playing. You're on a chessboard and you're just trying to figure out how you're going to slide in and out of it. And there's a rat race over here, and you're like, oh, don't want to get too close to that. And like,
Good visual.
I'm over
Like a
here.
chessboard with the rat, and
I'm like, I'm a pawn that's like doing this, running around the board. They're like, I don't know what team he's on, but
this is perfect Mike Parelli right here.
Just a ramble.
This is no, not the ramble, but the
Strategy.
visuals, the energy.
because I
That.
think in that stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
man.
I need.
But he executes too. You
But
know
in
what
my
I mean?
my head, I say to myself all the time, I need more chess pieces. People are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I need more chess pieces. And the chess pieces are like assets. And I'm like, you can't do anything if you don't have chess. You don't have pieces on the board. You can't win. So I'm like, I think I'm weird. I'm very bizarre in that sense. But anyway, on that note, what's in this drink?
Oh man, I think we should wrap it up there.
Yep.
I'm sure this
Yeah.
has gotten awfully long. You guys are awesome. I
6
really
hours
appreciate-
in.
Yeah,
Thank you
right?
for having us.
I mean, this is guys. Go listen to their podcast. We did another podcast on their podcast. Where can they find it?
Yes. So you can find us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast. We're on Apple, YouTube, any of the platforms that you listen to your podcast on. My personal page is, I'm not really too active on it, but it's at Dave Reg, DAVEREGG. And then you can find Mike.
At Mike Parelli Grants Real Estate. And if you don't watch some food shows, it's like a Diners, Drives,
Dude,
and
I'm
Dives.
checking that out.
At Tell 'em Mike sent you is the name of it. And at the end, I say, Tell 'em Mike sent you. So,
Tell them Mike sent you.
yeah. And people do it, but no one knows me. So it's they're like, Mike sent you. All right, double. It's like, what do you want?
No, Beav, I just want to say thank you again, man.
Of course.
It was
I'm
awesome.
really
Thank
glad
you
you
for
guys
having
came
us
down.
on and bringing us down here. Awesome.
For sure.
And
Guys, thank you for listening and watching. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave your ratings, comments, reviews, all that kind of stuff. We'd appreciate it. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Nice.